What is up, guys? Welcome to the channel, and today we are doing a bit of a beginner video. So some of you that have been playing this game's nearly a year old, which is kind of crazy to think about. But I figured I would do a beginner video for maybe some newcomer players that maybe have picked up Animal Crossing or got Animal Crossing over the holidays, or maybe you still struggle with, I think, personally, one of the most difficult parts of this game, and that is waterscaping. Now, if you are interested, if you are a new player, I did actually make a Terraforming 101 video months and months ago, and I feel like it's still a pretty good video, so I'm going to link that in the description if you want to check that out. And if you are a veteran and you don't really need this video, maybe link this to a friend who just got Animal Crossing, or put it maybe in an Animal Crossing group of some sort. But today, yes, we're going to focus in on waterscaping. And I'm kind of going to go over some basic things and maybe a little bit more advanced things at towards the end of this video. This is kind of weird for me to make, I'm not going to lie, because I feel like I'm kind of like a pro at this game. Like, I put in about 900 hours. So let's see if I can teach the new generation of Animal Crossing. Okay, so waterscaping is something that you get, I would say, later in the game once you complete the main storyline. So once KK Slider comes to your island, you can then get a waterscaping permit and a cliff construction permit from the Nook stop. So those are going to cost you Nook miles. It's all coming back to you guys. Okay, so today we're going to be focusing in on waterscaping. And yeah, I feel like this is one of the most difficult things to do in this game. And not even to do in this game, just to make your island look good with homemade waterscaping. Because of course we have plenty of water that is already available on our maps when we start the game. But then once you start controlling rivers and ponds and things like that, your island can look pretty bad pretty quickly. So let's go over some basics. All right, so let's start off with the first thing today. And this is actually something that I see a lot of veteran players still struggling with. And that is making your rivers look more natural and curving your rivers and just make them look good. So, and I'll even go in a kind of a difficult direction. I made two similar thin rivers, okay? And it's super easy to fix these. So if you're doing waterscaping for the first time, or even waterscaping now, and your rivers look jagged, like they have right angles, it doesn't really look appealing. So you might be wondering, this is really thin. I don't think I could fix this. Well, you can, and this is how you do it. So all these points that are sticking out, you're just going to hit A and just round that out. Now that's going to open up the other side to then round off. So you just hit A and then A again. So already we are seeing a lot of improvements here. Okay, again, the part that is sticking out the most, you want to hit A again. That is going to unlock the other part. And then you're going to mess up. You're going to do a lot of that, okay? So let's do this again. It's going to curve that edge. Okay. And then we're going to go down. Now we have to do each of the edges separately, because if I were to just hit this, it would have taken over the entire spot, especially if you're doing a thinner river. So now let's see the difference between A and B over here. And as you can see, I mean, this is a very just short strip of river, but as you can see, the one to the right obviously looks a lot more natural, and you can use this throughout your entire island. So let's just take these rivers, for example. And these are the rivers that actually came with this island. I haven't done any waterscaping on my second island. And as you can see, even Nintendo knew to round off the edges. So rounding off the edges really does make a huge difference. All right, next up, and again, all of these are pretty optional. I mean, this game is about being creative and trial and error. And so this is just my personal preference. But from the islands that I've visited and the islands that I've made, this one I think is still overlooked even now. Even a year later, people are still kind of overlooking this step. So of course you have rivers that come with your island, and these rivers are pretty wide. These are pretty wide. So much so that you are forced to use the vaulting pole in the game to get over. Now what I like to do is I actually like to thin these out a little bit. So basically all we're going to do is we are just going to build and just make these a lot thinner. And I just think that this looks good. Now, we don't have to be fancy yet. So you will see that, yes, I do have some jagged edges, and they are easily fixable. Let's just fill this in. Now, you don't have to do this to all of your rivers, but I definitely think that you know, some smaller streams or smaller rivers definitely looks a bit more natural. Looks pretty good too. So let's just kind of curve these all out now. No right angles. Let's just remember that. Let's get this out. And we even have some here. So we just want to build and flatten that out. And as you can see, we have just a smaller, a bit more organic river. And it's always nice to kind of change the width of your rivers throughout your island. You don't want your entire island being like this thick all the way around when you could have a thinner island. And sometimes, I didn't do it thin enough yet, but sometimes you can even just jump over it without using the vaulting pole. So I think that this is a nice tip to kind of maybe take a look at your rivers and at least think about thinning them out a bit. Next up, we have another cool thing that you can put on your island, and that is ponds and lakes. And that seems pretty self-explanatory, but this is the easiest way that I can make them. If we take a look at our map, sometimes you get lucky. Like, you see that there's a little pond on my island. Sometimes you get lucky. Nintendo gives you like these little ponds, but in case you want to make your own, it's pretty self-explanatory. I go about it, I think, a little bit different than most people. I do my outer, like my outline of my pond first. So basically I kind of look like how big I want my pond or lake. I think that lakes can look really good on an island, especially if you do like a forced perspective or like a really nice view. So this is kind of the shape that I want to go for. And again, it doesn't have to look perfect. No pond or lake in real life is perfectly round or something like that. So basically what I do is I just get a feel of how much space I can actually sacrifice with this pond. So I'm just going to go here. Okay, so this is kind of the shape that I want to do. So I'm just going to fill in all of the other holes here. So I'll fill in this. And don't worry about any jagged edges, at least yet. And this is the easiest way that I have found personally to make ponds and lakes. And I've done quite a few on my island, and I think they look pretty good. So here we go. We're just going to do the outline. And one more piece. Okay, so there we go. And again, we're not even worrying about jagged edges yet. We still do want to round them off in the end. But right now, it's all about making this pond. Now, there are some options that you can do. So I can kind of scale this back and make an entire I can just take all this out and just make a complete pond. But you can also make sort of an island in the middle. So just keep on rounding off edges. So we're just going to round this off, and I hate these controls sometimes, but that's okay. All right, there we go. I mean, you could stop here. You can have like a little funky island in the middle. If you make it a little bit bigger, you can even plant trees. Like you can pretty much go all out. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to just take all of this off. Now, this is also a cool way to make like stepping stones and things like that. So I'm going to jump off. Now, I will need to build a little bit of a bridge so that I can fully get this land off, but that's no problem. We have the basic shape. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we are going to worry about the jagged edges. So all the right angles, we're just going to build and then chip away. This one right here is pretty easy. Just chip away on that. And as long as you don't have any like right angles or like really harsh edges. So there you go. As long as you kind of sketch it out first, it's almost like sketching it out. As long as you kind of pre-plan it, I think making ponds and lakes is super easy. All right, next up, we are actually going to stay right where we are. And this is probably the most important thing in Animal Crossing, is just making things look cohesive and kind of like attaching certain areas to another. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to attach this piece of land to this little pond that we made. So all we're going to do for that is we're just going to climb up here. And this is one of the other tools of waterscaping. This is super addicting to do, and is just to make waterfalls. So you just go right to the edge, hit A, and you can do this as thick or as thin as you want. You can even do some like jetting off to the side. And this is real, like when you really start to get fancy, and you can do pretty much anything here. So I'm going to do, I don't know, I'll do something funky like that. I always love making waterfalls very unique looking and not just like going down and just predictable. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to extend this. Now we're going to keep all of the lessons that I've been telling you before. We're going to round it off. This one is going to be on the thinner side. And I hope this is coming across, you know, pretty easy for you guys. So again, I'm just going to take that part off, jump to the other side. We have to connect this here. Waterscaping, I feel like, you know, it's kind of, it seems like a bigger deal than it is. I feel like people put a lot of pressure on themselves when they are doing waterscaping, but I think we're all overthinking it a bit. So let's round that off, and then we have a messed up there. We have another harsh edge here, so we just want to fix this. So there you go. So now we have just connected these two areas. And just going off of this, and this is another sort of, you know, I hate using rookie mistake, but like, this is just another mistake that people do when they're first starting off. Now we have a pretty nice looking waterfall here, and we could keep it like this, but I always like to have my waterfalls be a little bit more realistic. So I always like to do, even if it's small, I always like to do a little source. Like I want it to be realistic, so we have to have like at least a little source of water, like where this waterfall is coming from. So I kind of just want to carve out at least a little pool of water. All right, so here we go. So all we did was make a little source of water. We can also extend this over here. I believe that there's another pond here. We can even connect those if we really want to, but just making the waterfall a little bit more realistic, adding a source of water is such a overlooked step in the whole waterfall, you know, creation. But I think that this looks really cool. And look at this. We've kind of attached two different areas. We have like a little funky waterfall jetting off to the left there. And as long as you keep things realistic, cohesive, I think your island's going to look really good. All right, and this last trick is kind of more of like a design idea as opposed to like the basics of waterscaping. So for this one, we're actually going to go to cliff construction, and we are going to make a little bit of a structure. And these are really popular on pretty much every type of island. I feel like people have at least one like man-made bridge on their island. So this is going to be something easy that you can do. So we're just going to make a column here. Okay, now that we're up here, we're actually going to be using this plank pattern. You can use any sort of wood pattern. So yeah, you could even use the wood pathing that comes with this game. But let's put this down and let's get to the design idea. All right, so this custom pattern is all on the top of this raised piece of land. And this is a super simple idea to do. Now, this wouldn't look really good here, but for the sake of the video, I just kind of wanted to show you. So we have this corral fencing. You can use anything. You can use any type of fencing that's in the game. And we're just going to put it over here. And there you go. That's like a simple bridge. Now, there's more advanced ways that you can do bridges. I personally use the item called jail bars. So those look really good. You just push them to the side. Some people use like bamboo stuff, but right here you have a really cool bridge that you can put very high up on your island, and your waterscaping is actually going to look even more impressive. It's kind of hard to envision the bridge here, but like as you can see, the waterscaping just looks so much better. You're higher up. This is a pretty cool illusion that I think a lot of beginner players can do. So, I don't know, just a little tip for you guys. All right, so there you go. That is a little kind of crash course in waterscaping, a beginner's guide, if you will. Again, if you're a veteran player and you're watching this still, what the heck are you doing? But maybe share this to someone in need of waterscaping. I hope that you guys are enjoying Animal Crossing. It's a very fun game, and waterscaping and terraforming is just like the best parts of this game, I feel like. Your island could look totally unique to people. My final thing to tell you guys, basically, if you're going to take away anything from this video, just round out your edges. Just doing that. If I can if that can stick in your brain from this video, I feel like I accomplished my job here. Round off your edges. It'll look so much better. thinner rivers, and it's not as bad as you think. So thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you in the very next video. If you would like any more beginner guides or tips and tricks, put them in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much again, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.